Ayo, what's good in the hood? Hope all is well. I'm about to do a quick little breakdown of the main event of UFC 322. Apologies, we had a little mishap doing the last recording for this. This is what happens when you're a rookie on YouTube doing your first little breakdown. The mic decided to shit the bed, for lack of a better words, at the very tail end of my videos. So, in the interest of keeping it consistent, we're going to do a quick little restart. And as you can see from the title above, this will be a mythical fighter we might be unlocking this weekend, to be determined. But I want to just peruse this whole card real quick. And context, I've been watching UFC, I've been watching MMA to a degree, a little bit of Bellator, a little bit of One and FC. But yeah, I've been dabbling in the UFC for 10 plus years, so I'm pretty familiar with a good amount of some of the fighters. I don't know them all, but I will say when I see a card where I know more than 10 fighters on it, more than 15, we know we're cooking. I mean, this one, I mean, as far down as the second early prelim, Angela Hill versus Fatima Klein. If you haven't go check her out, go check out Fatima Klein. She I believe is on a 2 or 3 fight win streak, some finishes too, which they're hard to come by sometimes. Women's MMA. No strict to the women, but they'd mostly kill me. So pretty much all of them would kill me. But yeah, this one, we got a vet Angela Hill. She has like 30 plus fights, like most of them in the UFC, no less. Also still ranked. I don't know how. Fatima Klein, she is a teammate actually of Aaron Blanchfield, who's on this card later. She is a young prospect. Like I said, I believe has I think a 3 fight win streak. Don't quote me on that. Pat Sabini, somewhat aware of him. Decent fight. Chepman Parcell. I just butchered his name, so I can tell you that I don't really know him that well. But Kyle Dawkins, GM3, good little scrap to end the early prelims. Malcolm Wellmaker, he is a scary prospect, and I believe he got his fight bonus. I want to say 2 fights ago. Dana hooked him up with that, so now he can quit. He did quit his. He was like he was like full time construction. I want to say while still training MMA, which is I always find fucking, pardon my French, don't don't kill me, YouTube. I find is bananas when you have that full time job like that. You're probably working 9, 10 hour shifts, and then on top of that, you're gonna train for 2 plus 3 plus hours, trying to recover. And yeah, he got blessed for that because he kills people in the bantamweight division. So he's on there. So that's gonna be probably another fun little quick knockout on his end. And I had mentioned before, Fatima Klein's teammate, Aaron Blanchfield. I believe she's like 7 or 8 in one of the UFC. Her only loss being to Magnon Ferrot, the lovely French woman. She's fighting Tracy Cortez, who she has a loss to Rose, which actually Aaron beat. So that is interesting to keep in mind. But Tracy did beat Aaron ages ago, like pre-UFC. So this is actually a rematch. And as you can see by the rankings, 4 and 8, even though it's on the prelims, it is probably not going to be a contender fight for the flyweight. Just due to the nature of the rankings and the actual fact that we have someone challenging from a weight class below for the fight. But it's definitely an interesting fight, and probably unpopular opinion, but Blanchfield is my UFC sweetheart. Moving on. So Roman Kopilov, Gregory Rodriguez, RoboCop, just two scary strikers that are just they're gonna go cheek to cheek. They're gonna be clashing, and I believe Roman Kopilov had a war against Paulo Costa in his last fight, and Rodriguez he killed someone. We'll just put it at that. Go look up Jack Hermanson, and I like Jack, and he killed him. And then the last prelim before we get to it is Bo Nickel. Shout out to wrestling. That's my bread and butter. That was what I grew up on. So I can appreciate a high level wrestler coming to MMA. It's a tall task, and as we saw with Bo Nickel's fight with RDR, even high level wrestling can only get you so far when a guy A knows jiu-jitsu and B can stuff the takedown. So he was obviously fraud checked. Obviously RDL himself got slightly fraud checked in his his last fight. But Bo Nickel's still a very interesting prospect. He's got some power in his hands. He's obviously a high level wrestler, and it's fun because he's on that journey, and we're trying to see what his ceiling is. So every fight, you hope he can improve. He obviously, to a degree, regressed with his RDR fight, essentially quitting to some body knees, body shots, which is always concerning. But Rodolfo Vieira, by no means the best of best when it comes to competition, but it should be interesting. He's a high-level Brazilian black belt, I believe. Yeah, I believe he's a black belt. Um, yeah, so that one actually is a very good location, especially them finally deponing Bo from the main card. He didn't deserve it in the first place, and the people spoke, and UFC listened. But this main card, fucking stacked. Beneil Dariush, Benoit Saint-Denis, Beneil Dariush. You should get that hair checked out just for men. It's meant for you. You're looking very old these days, but he's still got some fight in him. He's a dog. He beat Morcano in his last fight. Before that, he had two bad KO losses. So he's still on that perennial. He's number 9, so he's probably pretty far from the title shot. But he has some very strong skill sets. Very good grappler. Very good jiu-jitsu. Benoit Saint-Denis is just a killer. He's going to come head first. So I love that as the first fight. I think that's going to be high impact action with some grappling exchanges. And then obviously Leon Edwards, Carlos Pratas. Leon, former champ. Carlos Pratas only has one loss in his UFC career. Has a lot of highlight finishes. So it's going to be a question of, can this prospect slash potential contender take out a former champ who, up until recently, was on he was pound for pound up there. So it's interesting to see if Leon is just past his prime. Is he in over his head? Is he over the hill, as they would say, or is he still got some fight in him? And can he maybe get a rematch with Bilal and eventually get back to the title scene? Who knows? Moving up, we have Sean Brady, Michael Morales. Michael Morales, another prospect, number 8. Carlos was number 9. So Morales, I believe he's also undefeated. I want to say 5-0, 6-0. He just finished Gilbert Burns in within a round, which is, I mean, Gilbert, is definitely on the climb, but he's still dangerous as hell. And yeah, Michael smoked him. And Sean Brady, obviously, very, very good. Had beaten Leon Edwards in his last fight, finished him over across the pond. He's a Philly boy, very tough, very strong jiu-jitsu, very strong wrestling, decent boxing. But at the end of the day, he probably should have gotten the title fight, but alas, Islam moved up, so he got the short on the stick after finishing Leon, and he's in the position which he seems very happy to do, which is just take fights as available. I think he has a newborn kid too, so obviously he needs the paycheck. But also he's been quoted as saying I'm gonna fight these guys anyway. They're all top contenders. They're gonna cross my radar. So might as well knock them out sooner rather than later. And I respect that. But yeah, moving on. Valentina Shevchenko, Zhang Weili. Probably butchered her name. Please don't kill me, mom. This one, similar to the main event, we have a case of a dominant champion moving up in weight class. Zhang Weili, she smoked Tatiana Suarez in her last fight. Wasn't even close. And she showed her very improved takedown defense against a very high level, or supposed high level wrestler. So she's moving up to see what she can do against, in some people's eyes, the GOAT. Most likely the second best of all time, Valentina Shevchenko, who, if we're being honest, still very good. And I had alluded to this before as I was sending my love to Miss Blanchfield, that the reality is most women MMA, especially at the higher level, they're probably going to kick my ass. My wrestling ain't going to do shit against them. Valentina, no different. Probably would head kick me within 20, 30 seconds, and I would be in the ER afterwards. But yeah, Valentina definitely has declined recently. Her last performance against Mion Farol, it was close. She won, I believe, 3-2, but it was close. It's not the same as earlier on in her title run before I believe the Grasso trilogies, where she got upsetted. Where during that run, she was just killing the competition. I mean, if it wasn't blistering head kick KOs. Poor Jessica I. Now she's over in, I think, bare knuckle. She's just so good with her range and her striking and strong takedown defense. And frankly, she has the ability to take down, I think, most of her opponents I've seen just when she wants to, if she feels like she's in danger on the feet or getting cracked. So she's very well rounded. But it'll be interesting because Zhang Li, she is in her prime, and like I said, she's carrying a lot of momentum. She's very, very burly. I mean, they both have some solid abs that make me, as a gym chat, cry a little bit. But I mean, she is fucking burly as fuck, stocky. We've seen her pick up Shaq like it's nothing. So yeah, it'll be very interesting. That is a well-deserved co-main event for a Madison Square Garden card. But obviously, the main event, that's where it all comes down to, and that's what we're going to talk about today. Islam Makhachev, JDM. I think this is arguably one of the most monumental fights they've put together in recent memory. The last one that got me this excited, I thought was had so much to impact, obviously, two divisions, was when Volkanovski moved up the first time to fight Islam. Coincidentally, Islam now in the second most monumental fight I can think of in recent memory. Why you ask? I think going from featherweight to lightweight, let alone lightweight to welterweight, it's a tall task. I mean, we all know everyone cuts weight, everyone cuts a ton of weight, and that's what we're gonna go into a little more. Is Islam, he was always the biggest lightweight in his division, and now he's moved up against a guy JDM who, as we saw with Bilal, even when he saw against his last fight before with Gilbert Burns, he's a big boy, and he has a jiu-jitsu. He can hang in the grappling to a degree. Like, he is not undersized by any means against some of the larger men in his division. And while Islam is obviously a big lightweight, going from 155 to 170, that's a big jump. And as I alluded to, Volkanovski versus Islam won. Very monumental fight, but Volk, I don't believe, really bulked up the way Islam did. Volk always had the intention, and he obviously didn't vacate the belt, whereas Islam was, to a degree, probably forced to, was that Volk always intended, at least he said he was, and I believed him. He's an honorable man. He said he was going to go back and defend the featherweight, almost in some ways when Connor promised he was going to do that. Cough, cough. But Volkanovski obviously never really, I think, fully bulked up when he fought Islam, and it showed when he would get taken down for better or worse. It felt like he was still, to a degree, undersized, and that definitely, I think, helped with Islam's ability to control him and squeak away that damn decision. I did everything in my power to try to give Volk that decision when I scored it, but you couldn't do it, no matter how much the fans cheered for him. But yeah, Islam. We're gonna get in some images. Islam, he's taking time to bulk up, and we got image one over here, which is I want to say maybe a month and a half ago, possibly 2 months ago. This was captured when him and some of his buddies were perusing around the beach. As you can see, Islam likes to choke out his friends on leisure time, which I mean, at least I ain't doing this with my friends on the beach, but to be their own. Yeah, Islam, he's looking. Like I said, I'm a wrestler and I retired from that stuff, and I live in the gym. I am a member of the Iron Church, the Iron Temple. I am a devout member, and I see this, I'm like, Jesus Christ. He was big before. Like, fight day, Islam 155, hands down bigger than everyone else in that division. No question. And he still looked very lean. But now, I mean, those arms still got some veins on them, I can see, but he is filled out. His upper torso, very large, which is obviously very concerning, as he does like to go for chokes and, car. He goes for chokes, arm bars, or etc. The point I'm making is I ramble a little bit, and apologies if your brain cells are being burned right now. He is filled out, and even as recently as, I believe this is a week ago, this is one of his last sparring sessions, and he's still got a lot of weight to cut. That's how they do it on fight week. They love. I mean, for better or worse, they have to save it for the last few days. So he's probably still got 15 to 20, probably more even. And we're on what, Tuesday? He's fucking big. He's really big, and he has said in interviews recently that the biggest changing point, and I use this supplement. He is claiming creatine was the X factor, and he was having a hard time, bulking up, and I agree. It ain't easy to put lean muscle mass on in such, even, I don't want to say short term, but like 6 months. It's still not a long time. I mean, as a gym guy, you might get a couple pounds here and there if you're being consistent, and even then, there's gonna be times where you end up doing a cheat meal, this, that, and you do a dirty bulk, and you end up putting some fat, and then you gotta recut and rebulk, and it's a whole cycle. He's obviously got millions in the bank, and he's got the best nutritionist, the UFC PI, etc. But he's attributed his newfound size, his newfound potential in his body to good old creatine monohydrate, I believe. Now, and I've been on creatine for, I don't know, 5 years, maybe 10 years. I discovered it. I definitely got some water bloat early on, but I we'll chalk it up to creatine. But I don't know what they're doing over there in Dagestan. But yeah, he's alluded to creatine being the secret to his success, and lo and behold, he might be equal or if not greater size than JDM, which I I honestly didn't think that would be possible. I thought at the very least, as we go into some of their statistics, I thought 5'11", 5'10", 73 reach, 70.5, equal leg reach. I was gonna go on limb and say, and Jack looks like $1 million himself. I thought they were gonna come out just on the nature of moving up, and it's not like he took a year off. He took about 6 months, I believe. I thought Islam at the very least would be around equal. Maybe at times it would appear to be a little smaller, but there's very real possibility on fight night come Saturday that he's gonna be a little more physically imposing to JDM, which is where it goes into my breakdown prediction for this fight. We got a mythical fighter on our hands. This man is running a creatine cycle that, for lack of better words, is juiced him to the gills. Maybe he has a hard weight cut. I don't know. Maybe his cardio is gonna be shot. I can attest there's a real risk of adding all that muscle mass, and then next thing you know, your cardio starts to tank when you're faced with opposition. You can't just overwhelm someone like you did. Was it Renato Marcana, like on was it 2 days notice? But yeah, the quick breakdown is JDM. He's got the stand up advantage. He's got the striking advantage. He's got the boxing advantage. I mean, you go wins by percentage, 67% by KO or TKO. Islam 19%. Obviously, he's got a lot of subs, 48%. So that is, I think, the story of this, the tale of this fight. Islam, he's going to be pursuing that takedown. He's going to be trying pursuing some sort of a position, a back take, etc. Maybe in that sprawl position because JDM might shoot on him. Who knows? Where he's going to go for the neck and he's trying to go for that choke. He's going to put pressure on him. He's not going to be afraid to strike with JDM. But it just comes down to, is Islam going to be able, kind of like honestly Shemaev did with DDP, where it was like, is he just going to be able to quickly impose his will, take him down, and even if you don't get that finish early on, it's going to wear with you. I mean, we saw it with Gilbert Burns with JDM, and he had a broken arm, so even worse. But JDM, it definitely started to, and he obviously didn't foster, and he ended up, finishing that man in the third round. But it takes you out. As a guy who's done wrestling, it is not fun. It is definitely taxing when someone's riding on you. They've got all their weight on you, all this creatine on you, and you're breathing heavy. There's pressure, all the commotions going on, and deep down, the longer you get ridden, just like you saw with your buddy Volkanovski years back, you're gonna lose a round. And there's only 5 rounds, so Islam is very likely gonna probably get a takedown early on, test JDM, reaction speed, this and that, as they're trying to feel their distance on the striking. JDM, I wouldn't say he's a slow starter, but he's gonna be putting pressure, but he's also gonna be, I think, to a degree cautious because he's never faced, I think, this level of wrestling. Bilal was obviously a tricky style, but as we saw, Bilal is just not on the same level as these Dagestani boys. He associates them, but he's the odd man out of that group, and that's just the sad reality. But I think Islam, assuming these pictures hold up true, he's gonna probably get some takedowns in those first 2 rounds where he's the freshest, and it's gonna come down to, can JDM, I think, survive, and can he thrive, which I think he can, as we've seen in his past few fights, and as we see just by the fact that he's getting some solid coaching. He's got Volkanovski in his training camp, who he's obviously had tons of experience and arguably had the toughest fight with Islam to date. And then he's got his good old boy Craig Jones. Shout out the B team. Shout out Craig Jones. Go check him out. Solid solid personality. If you're a fan of jiu-jitsu, or you're just a fan of making fun of jiu-jitsu. I'm a mix of both, but he's a solid grappler, ADC silver medalist. He was one who was the main guidance for Volkanovski in obviously his fight with Islam the first time around. And as you saw, even Volkanovski being cautious at times, Volkanovski showed that Islam is not like unlike Habib. Islam, there are moments where he can get reversed, he can get his takedown stuff, and when that happens, he starts to fatigue because let's be real, you get your takedown stuff, and now this guy's trying to strike back or push you. That's when that heart rate I feel like starts spiking. You start to get to a degree a little nervous, versus when Islam takes your back and he can just send you like a backpack for lack of better words. I mean, that's still a little tiring because you got your hand fighting, you're still being active, but at the end of the day, you can almost use that as a way to maintain your cardio, your capacity to a degree, and get almost a freebie round while the guy on the bottom might actually be getting his cardio burned. So Islam usually has that benefit of the doubt because he has a grappling advantage over at least everyone he's fought lightweight division wise, and he's probably gonna still have that advantage with JDM. But I think JDM, he's gonna take a lot of risks. He's gonna do everything in his power to not get stuck for more than maybe 2 minutes in a round. And he knows that right when he gets unstuck and Islam tries to go for a reshot, he's either going for that knee like he did with Burns. And I think Islam's gonna be smart enough to just not shoot blindly. But when he escapes, he's gonna immediately start pressuring, and he's like I say, he's gonna take risks because he knows he's got everything to lose in this fight. If he loses to Islam, he's out of the title picture because Islam, he's already said he wants to fight Kamaru Usman. You have Ilya Tapora lurking in the shadows. Who knows where he is and if he's going to do the old triple belt, whatever. But the reality is, JDM, for lack of better words, I think, and I think he's an admirable champion. He had a fight of the year candidate versus Bilal. If he loses this, even if it's close, he's probably not getting that rematch, and he's gonna be stuck in perennial contender status for a while because the welterweight division is so backed up as it is. Uh, but I think JDM, the first 2 rounds, it's probably going to go Islam, or most likely, and then assuming JDM doesn't get, and we pray that doesn't just end super early with just like, oh, he caught him with a choke because JDM put his arms or left his chin slightly up and boom, he snuck under it. Assuming it goes into now the third round, the championship rounds, I think that's where it's going to switch. I think that's where Islam's going to show some level of fatigue and go watch his fight with Dustin Poirier. He was smoking Dustin in the early of rounds, getting those takedowns, but Dustin had one hip no less. Dustin, A, started stopping the takedowns in the later rounds. B, that's when Islam, I think, started to show fatigue, and Dustin at that point started having the confidence and just whereabouts, just be like, I'm gonna start pushing the pace. I'm gonna take shots, knowing that I can give shots, knowing that this guy is tired, and if I'm ripping the body in exchange for getting jabbed or hit with an uppercut, it's going to pay dividends for my chance to win. Obviously, he ended up losing the 5th round, but he showed that when Islam starts to show some levels, when people resist his ability to impose his will, that's when things get interesting. Islam, standout striker. He's got his kick game. He's pretty good with his boxing, and he seems to be content with not he's okay with getting hit in the face. I mean, he was taking some beatings against Volkanovski, and he was taking some beating against Dustin at times, and he didn't foster. He has a chin, and he doesn't seem to be afraid of taking shots to give shots when the wrestling is put on the hold. JDM though, he's scary. His boxing, I mean, look at that man's nose. He does not he does not show fear getting hit, and I think that's where, and this is where my prediction's kind of leaning towards, is that I think it's gonna be a 3-2, and I think it's gonna come down to probably who wins that third round. Because I think first two, Islam probably got it. He's got the size. I think he's got the aura, and I think he's gonna overwhelm JDM early on. JDM, I think, with the guidance of Craig Jones, and I'll have to. I don't know if Volkanovski will be in his quarter. Hopefully, he's in there in spirit. We love Chef Volk. I think he's going to have enough coaching and whereabouts to either survive or try to actually get out for escape, and then he can start kind of pushing his range and trying to feel himself and start to test Islam. But he might lose a round or two just due to the process of things. Round three is you would hope is when the momentum starts to shift, and we either see Mr. Creatine boy start to foster and fade with with his cardio, or we just start to see JDM, start to crack him. One or the other. Either way, that's gonna, test Islam's. It's gonna test Mr. Creatine's character and all that. But at the end of the day, I think it's going to come down to a very, very tricky fourth, similar to Bilal, where, and obviously Jack JDM, like, I think you could argue he probably won 4-1. That fifth round was obviously a slobber knocker, but you saw like JDM, he just pushes the pace, man. Like he just goes in there and he's just going to kill. He obviously didn't get the finish over Bilal, but he was headhunting. I mean, he was really trying to go in to just cause damage. And he said this like he wants that finish versus Islam, and I totally get that. Like Islam, he's only been finished once in the UFC, and I won't say it was a fluke, but it was a cracking overhand where like Islam, he wasn't fully out, but he probably would have been out if it was a couple more follow ups. But other than that, Islam is. He has barely shown any element or moment of being in danger of being finished. So JDM, like I said, he's got everything to lose. Where if he loses, he's probably out of the picture. But if he wins, and if he can win in dominant fashion, the world is his oyster. I mean, he can pick from everything. I mean, and not to mention the amount of presence, credibility he'll get from beating Islam and all those damn Dagestanians. No, shout out, they're great people. Um, yeah, the upside to winning versus the downside of losing, he's gonna go make or break, I think, especially in those later rounds. But my final prediction, as I bob and weave on this little page, is that I want to go JDM because I think it's more interesting if JDM wins, forcing Islam to potentially have to go back down like a dog with his tail between his legs and go re-challenge Ilya maybe at the White House, cough cough. That would be very interesting. Islam getting humbled at welterweight and having to go back down to lightweight, and JDM gets to continue what hopefully could be a very long reign, establish himself as one of the best in the welterweight division. Maybe get some good fights against Usman. Who knows? Some of the other young prospects like Gary perhaps or Shavkat. Like I said, the welterweight probably one of the hottest divisions right now outside the lightweight. But I gotta go, and like I said, I love mythical fighters and I love creatine, and I want to say Islam, even if he doesn't get the finish, I just feel like he's gonna squeak 3 rounds for better or worse. Even if some of those rounds are boring, he doesn't do a lot of damage, and even if, let's be real, JDM most likely will come out of this looking way less damaged than Islam is. It's very likely Islam is gonna be bleeding. He's gonna be busted up on his face, but he's got that fight IQ where he's gonna squeak away through some takedowns, through some submission attempts. He's gonna win the fight on that method. But everyone's gonna be complaining. Similar, honestly, in the degree Volkanovski won Islam won, where it's like Volkanovski, he got cracked at times, but you look afterwards, and especially the end where Islam was gassing, he got taken down, rocked, cracked. Where it's like if that fight, had another round or another minute in that round no less, Islam probably would have been finished potentially. The reality is Islam did what he needed to do to win enough rounds to win, and I think with his corner no less, he's got such a deadly combo. He's got Javier Mendez, he's got Habib obviously. I think they're gonna recognize like play it safe. You're in New York. This is monumental. You need to win this because if you lose, you're kind of in this weird like fluctuation of like do you maintain your creatine cycle and do you try to, if it's close, get a rematch with JDM immediately or otherwise, maybe at the White House no less, who knows? Or if you lose and it's convincing or you get finished no less, which is possible, JDM, you're in a real pickle where you're like, okay, I just bulked up all this creatine. Am I gonna go, cut down to 155? And like I said, now you have to go. I don't want to say beg, but now you gotta go fight Ilya for the belt you gave up, coming off a loss no less. Islam to a degree also has arguably more to lose than JDM, and that's why I think he's gonna play it safe. He's gonna do what he needs to do. He's gonna use a lot of grappling, distance management. He's gonna be very risk averse, whereas JDM, he's gonna look to take risks, and rightfully so. He's gonna have to, but I'm gonna say my official prediction for this is probably Islam Makhachev by decision 48-47. Might even get a split decision. I know this is a very boring thing. You usually want to pick by round and what specific finish you're going to go for. But I think both these guys, they're just tough as nails. And assuming there's no submission or anything crazy like an injury, I don't see either of them getting a finish by TKO or KO. And if I do, I think it's going to be JDM. But I think Islam, he's just going to be at times elusive, and he's just going to not put himself in a lot of danger. But you never know. Like I said, Creatine Makhachev, mythical fighter, maybe, maybe not. We'll have to tune in Saturday to see. Uh, Appreciate everyone listening for this long. Didn't know what the time cap was going to be. 30 minutes, it looks like. So I appreciate y'all listening. Hopefully you didn't burn too many brain cells, and hopefully you gained a few. If you, we'll leave it at that. But like I said, first video, hoping to try to maybe do another fight prediction before this pay-per-view, and definitely gonna do some breakdowns depending on. Well, regardless, there's gonna be some good results. So I'll try to get some breakdowns of my thoughts and maybe do some predictions and layouts for, especially the welterweight division. Just what should be the matchups moving forward. Hopefully, sometime around Sunday or early next week. But like, subscribe, comment. I want to see those first interactions and give me some recommendations. What you like, you didn't like, and you can be mean. I don't care. You can be nice. Constructive criticism, it's a real thing. But yeah, like, subscribe, follow the channel. This should be something that I'll try to be posting a couple times a week. That's the plan. And like I said, give me some ideas, and I'll be happy to oblige. Thank you for listening, and hope to see you soon.